Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our weekly program, You're in Health, coming to you every Thursday. It's a pleasure being with you all. As Cameroonians prepare to celebrate Labour Day coming this Friday, it's important not only to reflect on the value of work, but also the well-being of workers. Today, we turn our attention to what affects millions of people every day. It's known as ergonomics. Many of us spend most of our time in our workplace than we spend at home. Whether it's sitting behind a desk, standing for long hours, or performing repetitive tasks, our environment plays a major role in our health, and yet it's often overlooked. So today we'll explore some changes in the way we sit, the way we stand, and also in the way we work. And to answer questions on what ergonomics is all about, we'll be receiving a physiotherapist right here in our studio who is currently with us. Good day. It's a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you, Madam Fogwe. It's a pleasure for me to be here among you.
You're called MOKTO TCHAPTCHUI Jorice Frederic. I'm right?
All right.
And you work right here in the city of Douala.
For sure.
So tell us, what's ergonomics all about?
Ergonomics can simply be defined as the manner in which you arrange your environment for it to fit to you. So in simple terms, you can say ergonomics is the way you design your environment for it to fit to you. In simple terms, that's what it means.
So it's the way you're supposed to fit your environment for it to fit for you.
Yeah, you arrange your environment the way you arrange for it to fit to you. Correct.
So definitely, does every environment matter?
Yeah, sure. Every environment matter because linked to ergonomic, we have posture too, which is the way you position yourself into space. And ergonomics work all way with posture. So every environment matters because the way you fix your ergonomics, the way you arrange your ergonomics, the way you arrange your workspace, you will design your posture. So if you do it well, you are going to arrange your posture, you have a better posture, so it's going to help you prevent some pathologies like, I would say, like tight hip flexors or having hyperlordosis.
Now, we have different types of jobs we do. We have drivers, we have bike riders, we have those who stand on their feet for more than 7 hours a day. In such a case, how do you handle such specific case?
I will start by education, because I will start by educating those people on what is ergonomics and posture, and the key is movement, because there are better posture, there are better position, but there is no posture that should be maintained for long. So I will start by educating them on posture changes. It's important for each and every person to be changing posture every 35 to 40 minutes in order to avoid many pathologies. So I will start by educating them on posture changes. Then now for stretches, I cannot give a specific stretch that everybody should be doing, because each and every person is different. So for it to be done, I need to assess each and every person, then tell from what I get from the data I have, I will say, okay, this will be correct for you, this will be good for you. So, but in fact, generally, every person needs to stretch. So those people, I encourage them to stretch, change position, engage into low impact physical activity like walking, jogging. That would be great for the whole system and the heart too. So I'm going to ask them to be doing that and have a good controlled diet. Diet is very important too. And good sleeping night. I'll encourage them to be sleeping at least 7 to 8 hours a night, because with sleep the body recovers. Yeah.
And now, what about you have talked about after 45 minutes they need to carry out some work, some little bit of exercise.
Sure.
In a case, I'm still insisting for, let's say, drivers who have to drive for about, let's say, for 3 days they are on the road. Are you expecting them to be getting down from their trucks every 45 minutes for them to arrange themselves, fix their postures? How do they handle that? Because a lot of people who drive for several years tend to have issues with back aches and many other complications that could come due to the fact that they have been driving for long. How do they manage such a situation?
I'll start by explaining a little pathophysiology for you to explain what I'm going to. Okay. Those people who sit for long, like drivers, they usually tend to have tight hip flexors. The hip flexors attached on the lumbar spine. And when those hip flexors become tight and sitting position hinders the core muscles, which are there for stability of the spine. So when those hip flexors are tight and the core muscles who are supposed to stabilize the spine becomes weak, those hip flexors are going to pull on the spine, and the core muscles which are already weak are not going to stabilize, which is going to create problems. So for those drivers, I'm going to ask them to strengthen their core. So I'm going to ask them to engage in core strengthening as much as they can.
What's core strengthening?
Core strengthening is the strengthening of muscles, like the abdominals. Yeah.
How is it done? They would like to know how it's done.
Yeah, I will give a name that they can check on Google. The McGill three-core routine. McGill three-core routine.
Okay.
It consists of simple exercises that you can do for the day. You can do it like 2 times a day, and when you do those exercises, frequently, your muscles are going to get used to. We call that muscle memory. So your muscles are going to get used to work in that position, are going to get used to be strengthened. Like they are going to get used to those positions, and they are going to get engaged. Yeah.
And now, how can you tell a workspace or a workspace environment is harmful?
Just by assessing, just by looking. For example, for a person that can be seated, that is seated for long and work for long, and works on, for example, I would say on a computer, I will look at his environment. Because normally a person that sits for long and works on computers, the top of the screen should be aligned with the top of his head, and he should have his elbows rested at table level, for it not to be upper or too lower. Because when it's too upper or too lower, it's going to create lumbar problems at long run, and also shoulder impingement. So for those people, just by assessing, I'm going to know that, okay, this workspace is not correct, so I'll need to have a visual first.
For those who like to participate on today's program, for those who are suffering with back aches or any condition that you think could be as a result of the postures you take while at work, today is the right time, and now is the right time for you to ask your questions. Here are the contacts: 670-5470-49. I repeat, 670-5470-49 or 656-622222. 656-622222. Back to you. I want to know, between sitting and standing for long hours, which one is best for us?
I'm going to say there is no one that's best, because, as I earlier said, there is no position that's good for a long time. We should be varying as much as possible. We should be varying, because there are many disadvantages on standing position, like disc compression, because on our spine, there are discs that helps us to absorb shocks. And standing position compress a lot on those discs on long run. While sitting position get the hip flexors tight, core muscles weak, and gluteal muscles that are responsible for stability of the hip weak. So those two positions have a lot of disadvantages when maintained for long. So I wouldn't go to say that this one is better.
I think we have a call on the line. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, madam.
Your name, where you're calling from, and your question, please.
Yes, I'm Mr. Anka Isaac from Bunabere.
Okay, sir.
Yes, I want to ask a question from the doctor that if somebody is or let's say from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., just have an hour on break and come back and continue to be seated, what is the impact on it or the affection? Thank you.
Did you get his question?
Can you take it back, please?
Sir, can you
Pardon?
Can you still ask the question? He didn't get you clearly.
Yes, I'm saying that if somebody is seated from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or 6 p.m., seated, and just within this hour, just have just 1 hour or 13 minutes break and come back and see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now he's coming back to a context where you have to work, let's say, from 7 a.m. to, let's say, 5 p.m. or 4 p.m. as we know, 8 hours of work, and you have just 1 hour break. You have a queue, like we see in banks. They
Yeah,
don't.
sure.
Some don't even have enough time to even eat something unless during their 1 hour break. How do you expect them to take into consideration all these tactics you have just mentioned?
Okay. For those people that can't have a long break or that can um, get access, that can be standing after 35 to 40 minutes, I'll ask them to get much more into core strengthening. And after work, I really encourage them to do walking.
Walking.
So, yeah.
For how long?
After work, they can walk for like 30 to 1 hour.
Okay.
Because walking is really good for the whole system, and walking is going to get those hip flexors to start relaxing, relaxing, because the whole day you have been maintained in a position. So while walking in the evening, while going back, for example, you help the whole body to try to reset, a form of reset. So I'll ask them to walk after walk, get into core strengthening. Like I said, the big McGill 3 core exercise, 3 core routine. On Google, that's too easy to see. So it's very safe.
And can you do that at home?
Yeah, at home.
The exercise you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can do it at home without supervision. That's easy to do, and there's not much risk. So I ask them to get into core strengthening, have enough rest, and I encourage them to be sleeping on the left side.
Okay.
On the left side. Why on the left side? Because on the left side, majority of our organs are on the left side, and on the lateral position for sleeping is one of the best position for sleeping, actually. And I encourage them, while sleeping on the lateral left side, they should put a pillow in between the knees.
Wow.
A pillow in between the knees and a little pillow just on the head. Just on the head. If they have if they are already a shoulder problem, they can put a small pillow just below the armpit. That's going to
all of these just for sleeping postures.
Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, that's how we should be doing in order to maintain our spine neutral. Because if we don't do that, generally during the day, we lose some centimeters in our spine. Because in the spine we have those discs that are made up of liquid. So during the day, those liquid are generally reducing due to the compression. Yeah. So during the day we lose some centimeters, and during the night, that's where we are supposed to recover it. So in order for it to recover and get the space it was having before, we need to put it into certain conditions, and those conditions are the ones I cited for sleeping position. So because if we don't do that, we are not going to have the 1 or 2 centimeters every person should be having every morning. Because every morning, each and every person that's healthy and have a healthy spine should have 1 or 2 centimeters plus. So it should make 2 centimeters or 1 bigger, taller.
Okay.
So
what about those who lift weights? Like we have truck pushers, we have those whose job is about lifting weight in their companies.
Yeah.
Is there a specific way of lifting weight? And if it's not done the right way, can it have any adverse effect on their health?
Yeah, surely there's going to be adverse effect if they don't lift the weight correctly. There is a certain biomechanics you should adapt using while working, especially if you lift weight. So those who lift weight, I encourage them to don't lift. If they are not strong enough, they should not lift half. They should not go more than half of their body weight.
Okay.
So
you shouldn't lift weight that is like half. It should not be more than half of your body weight. Okay.
Yeah. And I encourage them to engage into core strengthening and limb strengthening too. So they should strengthen their legs and their upper limb too, which are the hands. That's going to permit them to have more strength, and combined to good body mechanics, they are going to be not free, but they are going to avoid certain problems.
But then what can happen because like when we go to Marché Central, for example, the Central Market, you can see a very slim guy.
Yeah.
The type of weight he's carrying, you're even scared for him.
Yeah.
Maybe at that moment they are not. I think we have a call on the line. We'll come back to that question. Hello.
Hello. I want to participate on this program, please.
You're welcome, sir. Your name, where you're calling from, and your question.
Yeah, I'm called Tata Anthony. I'm calling from Bamenda.
Okay. Go ahead, sir.
Pardon?
Go ahead with your question, sir.
Okay. I am
65 years old, and I was a truck driver.
Okay.
As the doctor rightly said there.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving from Cameroon to Congo, and now I am feeling my back pain, lower pain. I'm going around the hospital, no solution. So I want to ask the doctor, can I practice this practice that he just mentioned there, and it will help me?
Okay. Thank you for participating. You got the question? Just the example we're talking about. Yeah. Is there a possibility of reversing the situation at this age?
Yeah, it's possible. I won't say it will be difficult. It will be difficult because the time he has spent while driving and all that, and the muscles have get tight and all that. So it will be difficult. So in his case, generally what can be done is core strengthening in order to maintain all those vertebrae in place.
So it can be cured. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
It can, but it will be difficult. Also, it's going to necessitate a lot of discipline, consistency, and strengthening. So he should be, he will need some follow up.
Okay.
Some follow up. I would say some things you should be doing just like that, because I've not seen, I've not assessed. I don't know the state of his back. I don't know. Yeah. So, but for the core routine, that's something that works. Even for every cases, it works for every cases. Whether be for stroke, post-stroke patient, or every person needs a good core for a good body to function well.
Okay, before that call, we're talking about those who lift heavy weights. We have seen people that they have a small stature, but the weights they carry in the market, we see them every day, and maybe they may not feel the pain at that moment. What could happen in some years to come? He's talking about 65 years. That means he has been driving for years. Maybe at that time he wasn't having the problem of back pain.
Yeah, sure.
What are some of the risks involved?
I will talk for those who lift those weights in the market. What they are exposed to pathologies like disc herniation, which is when the nucleus pulposus, there is the central, the nucleus of the disc comes out and compresses on the nerve. So they are exposed to that. They can be exposed to spondylolisthesis, which is when a vertebrae slips on the other and compresses on nerves. So these are some pathologies where they can be exposed to. They can be exposed to spinal stenosis too, which is the reduction in the intervertebral space. That is the space where those nerves which conduct impulses passes. So when that space is reduced, we call it spinal stenosis, and when those nerves are compressed, they will feel pain.
Okay. Any last word for companies on how they should make their environment or their workspaces suitable for their workers before we end the program?
Okay. What I can say to companies is that they should encourage first their workers to engage into physical activity. That's very important, because physical activity will not only get them physically well, but mentally too. Because when they will be doing that, the hormone endorphin will be released, which is a hormone that brings goodness and well-being. So they should engage their workers to engage. They should talk to their workers to engage into physical activity. They should give more time, or they should get two different working sites, like a standing working site and a sitting working site. So to help their workers vary position. So for example, worker can be working sitting here, and after 40 minutes he switch and goes on the standing position and continues working that way.
Thank you so much, MOKTO TCHAPTCHUI Jorice, Frederic. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, madam.
And we equally want to thank you all for staying with us on today's edition of the program. For presentation, I am Immaculate, for where I received technical assistance from Bertrand Bonzini and Jonathan Babela. From us to you over there, have a wonderful day in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe Radio and, of course, television. Bye-bye for now.